So we have to lead. What do I mean by that? Our elected officials are like leaving government. I don't know what that means for who's going to be left. What does that mean about who is going to want to run in the future? So my own belief is that if we want to have a future, like at all, just a future. I'm not even saying what kind, but if we just want to have one, it's going to be us, like me, unelected, unappointed, no special credentials. We have to take responsibility for all of this. I mean, whatever your situation is, I challenge you as you ask yourself why, whatever ... that is in your life. Here's my challenge to you. If the answer is somebody else, like if the answer is, why is this happening in my life? Well, this happened to me. Well, this person did that. Well, this is going on over here. Well, we elected those people. Boop, 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 boop. If that is your answer, my challenge to you is to get another answer. To flip the question. Okay, I think Face the Nation is about to go off, so we're gonna see what's on Fox, and then we're gonna say adieu for today. But here's what we're doing with Kianga Ellis Projects. We're flipping the question. Here's what citizen adjacent action means. Okay. I participate in the reality in which I exist. Number one. There's a lot of threads we could go on with that statement. And I talked a little bit about that with quantum mechanics and our attention and what we focus on, kind of collapsing into what manifests. So there's that. If that's true, if that's a scientific fact, then there is a perspective that says, I have contributed. I don't care what it is that you are upset about or what it is you think is a problem. There is a legitimate argument that can be made that, you have participated. This is not about blame. See, these are the things we have to get over. We have to get over ourselves. We have to get over ourselves. This is painful. We have to do it. You have to get over yourself and look in the mirror. And if there's no other reason, everyone can always find what they have contributed by omission, by what you didn't pay attention to, by what you didn't know. I mean, it's often just like my own ignorance has contributed to, my whatever. I mean, this is a bigger sort of life journey, work. But it's important that I just point that out, because the exercise that I'm committed to, that the path we're going to take with Friends of Kianga Ellis Projects, the Circle of Trust, and how our activities individually then together in our local communities connects across New York and New England specifically, but then this broader concept of a multi-stakeholder response network. So I haven't even really, I've been able to talk to you all, which is not the point of this live stream, the Rural Rapid Response Network. But it's multi-layered, but it has to start at home. It has to start, it actually really has to start in the heart. But then it's about okay, we have to step up, and we have to step up as people in this nation, on this soil. We can look back 250 years, and we ought to make sure we have really the right understanding as to what the facts are. But I think also empathizing and visualizing the people, the struggle, the things that we've overcome, and to accept the complexity of it, to reject the notion of shame, to reject how our history in this nation has been manipulated and, I hate this word weaponized, but it's so effective. How do we get behind all of those narratives and ways in which the story of America has been told to different groups, and that telling, particularly over the last, number of generations in the arc of my own life, so the 50 years, very significant historical period, the 70s until now. I mean, like, really obviously defining the previous 50 years as a matrix for now is very significant. But I think it's more significant than just, okay, now, as in it's always now, whatever year you're in, but we're in a now that is this culmination of so many gigantic historical arcs. And so it's a privilege to live in now, and according to my faith, it's not accidental that you were born at such a time as this. And as difficult as it is, it's kind of cool to think that what you do and that your life can participate in what the world will be for the next 250 years. It's certainly what's going to happen here on this soil. But I believe that, like, with every fiber of my being, that is how significant November 23rd, 2025 is. And that there's maybe never been a moment, certainly not in the last 250 years, that who you are matters so much. And that is, I think, the bright side of what's so dark. And that's the opportunity in the chaos, is that we might be able to pull something off here. When I say we, I mean the little people, the Davids. So that's weird. That's what we are. We're the Davids. This is a project for the Davids. And it's about our action. It's about our agency. It's about what we're doing alongside of all of the official engagement, all of the official politics. I believe in the American system, in the American experiment. I believe that it was brilliant and it's beyond humans. So we don't have to turn our founding fathers or any particular, no one has to be a hero or a villain here, because the American project is bigger than all of them and all of us. And so what would it look like for us to not think about what the founding fathers wanted and what they said, but what was animating them? Something was animating them that was bigger than them. As you watch American Revolution, and they didn't shy away from some of the gross, I don't want to say hypocrisy, but just the ironies, the inherent contradictions. This is not to demonize anybody. Like, we're adults here. We are not wonderful as a species, and that's okay. So for me, and part of why I ended up just pulling all of these books, and I was like, oh, what is the bibliography and the histories? It's like, I want to get beyond just the human narrative of the founding of the United States of America. But I'm very curious if 250 years later, we have the perspective of time. Do we have the maturity? Do we have the humility to think in longer historical terms? What was the point? Why? How did this happen? why did this happen? And where should we take it? I don't wanna burn it. I mean, there's some things I wanna burn down. There's some things I want, and I use that metaphorically. I do not want to see any violence. Um, that's just my platform. A revolution of the heart, a revolution of the spirit. That's my focus, and, I'm gonna stay away from what other people have to say about the kinetic realities of, war and all that. I don't know, I'm gonna stay away from that. I'm gonna talk about, the revolution of the heart, the spiritual battle, and an inquiry that's requires us to look in the mirror, that requires us to, love our neighbor as ourself, and invites us as we become engaged, as we step up as citizens, as we stand in the gap, not just for our political process, which we have to do. If we don't, we know who's in the driver's seat now. And that is the same if you were like Democrat or Republicans. I mean, that's the same. Whoever in our current situation, who's in the driver's seat of what actually happens. So individually, that's something we can do, is recognize that our governance, our leaders, they need our help. They need our help. We have to be the heroes of this story. Citizen adjacent action. What can we do with what we already have that's not dependent on centralized points of failure, things that go away? Our dependencies are going to be, on ourselves and our families, our friends, our neighbors, our communities. So we have to step up. We have to step up. We have to design the vision. We have to say, well, what was the point of the last 250 years? And in order to have an answer, we have to know what happened over the last 250 years, and the 250 years before that, and the 500 years before that, and the 1,000 years before that. I mean, that's the opportunity here. It's not just to save yourself. It's for the future.